One true family, we stay together.
At the start of episode 5, Aleesha and Danielle move obsessed clingy with Rob waiting for him, saying good morning and then walking behind him. When Rob is explaining netball to the girls, Aleesha says under her breath, "Why didn't you ask me to strip off and lie down?" Rob asks her what she said. She shakes her head, but Carla repeats what Aleesha said. Danielle and Aleesha are a bit too obsessed with Rob, which is a bit concerning, which Jasmine overhears and tells them to focus. Danielle and Aleesha ask Bolton for a favour. They ask him to steal a pair of Rob's shorts. Bolton tells them to go away. Aleesha and Danielle realise Rob is wearing different shorts and they steal the shorts that he had on previously. Rob asks them what they're doing and Danielle says Aleesha had to use the toilet whilst Aleesha plays on words saying that she was caught short. They thought they got away with it and happily wave around the shorts. Jasmine stops them and asks what they're doing with part of Rob's training kit. Aleesha runs over to Danielle and gives her a hug as it appears she's been away for homeschooling. Aleesha is updating her with everything but notices Danielle seems a bit down, but she says nothing is wrong, but Aleesha tells her to tell her. Danielle explains she can't stand it there and had to get out. Aleesha asks what made her agree to homeschooling and Danielle says it was supposed to be a trial but her dad won't let her leave. She says she's got no one left and would rather stay in a care home, but Aleesha says she's always got her. Danielle explains the extent of her being trapped and makes a gesture as to which Aleesha assumes she's been hit by her dad, but Danielle doesn't deny it. Bolton asks where Danielle's been and Aleesha tells him her dad went bare weird and won't let her out the house. Danielle tries to silence her. Aleesha and Carla try to get Danielle away from her dad, but Danielle tells them to leave it. They witness Danielle's dad put Danielle in the car and take her home. Aleesha and Carla tell Rachel and Eddie that Danielle's dad is dragging Danielle into the car right now. She also tells them that Danielle's dad is hitting Danielle. Later on, Danielle runs into a classroom with Aleesha and tells her she needs her help. This leads to both of them running out of Tom's lesson. This leads to everybody on the roof petitioning for Danielle to stay. Things start to backtrack as Aleesha asks Danielle where her dad is hitting her and Eddie starts to call Danielle a liar. Danielle says Aleesha said it, not her. Everyone leaves but Danielle begs her to stay, but Aleesha tells Carla to go and they leave. At the end of the episode, Aleesha tells Danielle that she would have come up on the roof whether her dad had hit her or not. Danielle apologizes for lying and dragging her into it all. Rob drops her bag to Jasmine claiming it's work material. Jasmine accidentally drops the bag to see it's actually a bra set. Aleesha thinks Rob can do much better and says she's lucky someone like her pulling Rob. Aleesha says Rob is being kind and goes on to say teachers shouldn't be allowed to do things with each other. At the start of episode 9, Rob and Jasmine kiss in front of Aleesha and Danielle. These girls are bad vibes. They're shocked that Rob would prefer Jasmine, another adult, than them two schoolgirls. Aleesha overhears Candice tell Rose that Rachel has quit. Aleesha tells Danielle and then they tell Paul that Bolton will get kicked out especially because Rachel has quit. Aleesha and Danielle get in trouble with Eddie for the picture circulating around school of Jasmine. Eddie wants an explanation. Aleesha says she's glad it's him. They both say they haven't been able to cope and Eddie excuses them but they will lie and smile when they leave the classroom. They speak to the therapist and waffle differently. The therapist calls them special needs or they're vain, self-centered girls who are milking an awful situation for their own gain and they apologise. Aleesha and Danielle blame Janice for the strict school uniform since she got her enlargements. Aleesha and Danielle put tissues up their chest to make a point saying that if Janice can get away with it, so can everyone else. In episode 14, Aleesha, Danielle, Lauren, Sam and Denzel are practicing singing in the playground. Matt helps them get the vocals right, which starts the formation of the school choir. They perform for Rachel, starting out of tune, but then they nail it. The remaining episodes of season 4, we see Aleesha mainly revolving around the choir getting ready for the competition. The final episode of season 4, everyone's angry with Flick since the original song she wrote was actually not original. In a battle against time, at the competition they write a song within seconds of their performance to not only smash their performance but to also win it. Aleesha and Danielle return to Waterloo Road for season 5 and the first time we see them is when they approach the new boys Josh and Luke, part of John Foster's. Rachel encourages everyone to mix up in assembly and this leads to Aleesha sitting next to Luke. Aleesha is involved in a massive brawl with the John Fosters. In episode 3, Danielle and Aleesha stagger into school still drunk from the night before. Aleesha tells Danielle that uni students will get up till lunchtime and just because Danielle gave her number to a guy doesn't mean he'll call her. Carla comes in and asks if they've been home. They explain that their parents think they were at each other's houses. Aleesha says she's fine but Danielle's finished. In class, Aleesha is trying to make sure Danielle holds it together as she's visibly drunk in Grantley's class not acting herself. Aleesha gets mad at her and tells her to stop being a lightweight. In Chris's lesson, Paul makes an alcoholic drink with ethanol which Aleesha refuses to drink but Danielle yaks. Aleesha tries to give Danielle a hot drink to sober her up and she's not having it. Steph clocks that Danielle is worse than she was before. Steph tells them that Danielle can't walk around like that because she'll get excluded fast. Aleesha says they're in Steph's class next but Steph refuses Danielle to be in her class since she's been inspected. They put Danielle in a storage cupboard to let her sleep it off. Steph says that if anyone finds out about Danielle that her and Aleesha never had this conversation. Aleesha sees Bolton and Paul selling the drinks they gave Danielle and tells them that they can't because Danielle's finished differently. She says Danielle only had a few sips and got finished quick. Paul says everyone knows what they're buying but Aleesha points out until one person gets what Danielle got and then they're all getting excluded. Rachel and Max organise a school assembly outside to get rid of the drinks Paul and Bolton were selling. Steph mouths to Aleesha where's Danielle, and Aleesha says she doesn't know. After seeing Danielle collapse, Aleesha wants to go with her to the hospital, but they don't allow her. Michaela gets sent to the cooler by Helen, and on her way she asks Aleesha and Danielle to come with her. They say they might as well, as they're more likely to learn something there than in the classroom where Helen's teaching. Michaela later tells Aleesha to text everyone out of school for the party tonight. Aleesha and Michaela tell Bolton and Paul about the motive after school, which they agreed to come to. This leads to everyone showing up, bombarding Helen's house for the party. Steph tells Aleesha and Danielle for nominating Joe for the best teacher. They ask her if she told Joe it was them, and Steph says she's going to let her enjoy the mystery for a while. Danielle and Aleesha say they feel sorry for Steph, as Joe has been there for a shorter time, is younger than Steph, and is also her boss, but Steph plays it off and tells them to vote for her next time. Later on, Aleesha sees Steph looking annoyed, and they go into her classroom to see what's wrong. Steph says she's going home early and gives them advice that no good deed goes unpunished. They ask what good deed, and Steph tells them to ask Joe. This leads to a protest led by Aleesha and Danielle. Joe asks if there's a joke. Danielle and Aleesha say it's not a joke, but it's showing their back, so it's easier for her to stab them in it. Joe takes them outside and asks who she stabbed in the back, and they tell her Steph. They say they know Joe has had her sacked. Joe said they've got it all wrong, but she admires their loyalty. They tell her that Steph told them to vote for her to get nominated, claiming Steph wanted to do something nice for her, but they shouldn't have, and they ask if Steph has not been fired, why is she packing up her stuff and going home. In episode 10, Roz shows Aleesha and Danielle the present she got Philip, and they say it's really nice and how Philip will love it, as he will feel like a big time comedian. At the end of the episode, Aleesha and Danielle commend Philip for his comedic act. They gas him up, he explains Roz helps him, and they work together. They start to laugh at him, and he asks what they're laughing at. They explain that if he waits any longer, he's going to lose his chance with Roz. Aleesha and Danielle go through the clothes up for grabs in the hall. They do a little montage try-on haul thing. Aleesha and Danielle start to argue over a pair of jeans. Danielle says she saw them first, but Aleesha claims the same, but Danielle says at least she'll fit in them. They start screaming and tugging, which leads to Danielle falling back and revealing Lauren's well-guarded scar. Michaela, Danielle and Aleesha all ask for a sausage and egg sandwich as they're all hungover. They start talking to Adam about last night at the gig and ask him if he's going on the weekend. He says he's not going since they are now. Later on, Aleesha and Danielle ask Adam about the vending machines not working. He tells them healthy food only, but they say they need sugar after having a double lesson with Grantley. Aleesha and Danielle treat Adam like a friend, speaking about Rachel with no filter. They say he's not like any other teacher, but Adam doesn't want them to have that impression and tells them it's not correct. Aleesha backs Philip by saying that he gets more action than Bolton and Paul. Bolton jokes around acting like Aleesha likes him and pretends to kiss her. In episode 17, Aleesha's upset when she has to wait for 3 people before she can do her exam. Carla explains it's alphabetical order but surnames. Aleesha and Danielle talk about Roz leaving the exam early. Bolton tells them that she's a lesbian. They don't believe it, but Paul explains she's been doing a thing with Joe and they had a lover's tiff in front of the year 10 class. Philip asks where Roz is and they all just leave, not saying what they heard. Aleesha tells the boys that Joe's been suspended because of the Roz situation. Bolton asks what kind of things did they get up to and Aleesha slaps him. Aleesha and Danielle are backing Roz, saying it's Philip's loss. Michaela reads what Philip wrote about Roz and they feel bad until they hear other things like she's the only one that won't end up working in a chip shop. They have a debate to see who's better out of the girls or the boys. In episode 19, everyone is excited about the prom, which is going to occur soon. Aleesha and Danielle on the design team. In the final episode of season 5, Danielle and Aleesha along with Carla and Michaela helped to set up the prom in the hall as it's been changed last minute. At the end of the episode, they all went to the prom together and this is the last time we see them.